Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Being a Toastmaster, or there's more to being a Toastmaster than just arriving on time, giving speeches, participating in table topics and evaluations. Speaking and evaluating, by frequent sharing in the duties of club meetings, the benefits of the club membership becomes more apparent. So if you're a new member, don't hesitate to volunteer for meeting roles in club meetings. Vacancies occur with some frequency, and your willingness to serve will certainly be appreciated. One caveat: do read the instructions for these roles, which is contained in the Competent Communication Manual, I believe on page 63. The information found there is not exactly the way we do things in this club, and I suspect no Toastmaster club really complies with those instructions exactly, and that no two Toastmaster clubs work exactly the same. We have our own profile, our own practices. Pay attention in meetings, and you'll learn how to do this properly. As you progress in your Toastmaster experience, you will be expected, new members, to fill club officer roles. It's not just something that other people do. You'll be expected to volunteer or be willing to serve when you're asked. Just as a professional football team, and we saw two last night, skilled players, just as a professional football team requires skilled players in every position, every Toastmaster meeting must have a full roster of knowledgeable, prepared participants if the meeting is to be a success. Let's take a look at some of these roles that takes place in each Toastmaster meeting. The first is the Toastmaster. He actually runs the meeting. This evening it's Merrill Friend. He does the same as a quarterback does in a football team during the offensive part of the game for that team. And he has to prepare for each game, and the Toastmaster needs to prepare for each meeting in the same fashion. Joe Montana was known as, actually, he was one of the great all-time quarterbacks in the NFL, and one of the reasons that he was so great is the time he spent in preparation. According to his book, he spent 60 hours and more every week in preparation for every game. Think about that, 60 hours or more in preparation for every game. Now, he was well paid, and we don't get paid anything for this. But we do get great experience from filling these roles, and especially for new members. You gain confidence, you get to know how the club operates, you get to know the people in the club a lot better when you're functioning in a role for a meeting. Now, if we fly by the seat of our pants in these club meetings, when we have things to do, we tend to maybe adopt that habit in everything we do, and our work is going to suffer as a result, and that can be a major disaster for most of us. The Toastmaster must review the schedule, the theme, the word of the day, and not later than Tuesday of the preceding week. The Toastmaster needs to alert each member of the team and ensure that they are preparing for Monday's meeting. It serves little purpose to call a speaker on Friday night or Saturday night or even later and remind him that Monday you're speaking. If he's not prepared by that time, he probably won't be properly prepared. So Tuesday is the time to do the calling. Now, I know that some of us can throw a speech together with very little effort. Well, I won't say with little effort, but very little notice. But even for those who can, it cannot be their best effort. Preparation is very important. Remember that everything counts. Everything. Nina Cobain, and I'm not even sure that's pronounced correctly, but he spends 100 hours preparing for a 1-hour presentation, which he's going to give one time. 100 hours. That equates to 11.7 hours in preparation for a 7-minute Toastmaster speech. So, preparation is very important. A year or so back, Joan Noble spoke to another professional speaker who has a minimum of 10 rehearsals, according to the report she gave us, for each presentation. 10 rehearsals. If he needs 10, I need 15 or 20. Think about that. Before I leave this segment on Toastmaster duties, I believe that the Toastmaster should insist, and these are my ideas, that everyone with a role in the meeting arrive not later than 6:15. If they're not here by 6:20, I think they should be replaced. I believe when the gavel goes down one time, the president drops the gavel, that's the beginning of the meeting officially, every vacancy should be filled. It's not fair to the rest of us if that's not so. Some club members appear to think that the Toastmaster should prepare their introductions for them. In fact, even some Toastmaster publications suggest that. Not so. Professional speakers don't operate that way, and we're seeking to prepare ourselves for speaking in different venues in the same way that a professional speaker speaks. That means we write our own introductions, and the introductions should be designed to create the idea or the understanding in the audience that this person has enough experience to speak on this topic, and it's worth my time to sit and listen to what he has to say. All intros should be typed out in uppercase letters, double-spaced, to facilitate easy reading for the introducer. This should be very important for each of us, that our introduction is read exactly as we have written it. Professional speakers are adamant about this. They prepare an introduction and they expect it to be read exactly as they have written it. And we should do the same. Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, you two share, or Vice President of Education, you two share a dual responsibility, really, in ensuring that each meeting is well prepared for. So not later than Tuesday of each week, one of you, and you have to agree between you on this, one of you should be calling the Toastmaster and ensuring that that Toastmaster is busy preparing his team for the coming Monday night's meeting. And the other of you should be calling the general evaluator and doing the same thing for the same purpose. So both of you should be making calls, I think. No new member should be assigned, in my opinion, as general evaluator or Toastmaster until they've had at least, I think, better 4 speeches completed out of the basic manual. I think it takes that long, really, for new members to learn how this club functions and be prepared to function in a role during the meeting. Next comes the topics master. Impromptu speaking is something which is invaluable to us in our business careers, and table topics helps us to acquire that skill. Toastmasters has a tradition that every dues-paying member who is present speaks at every meeting, and Toastmasters achieves that for us if it is done properly. Members with speaking roles should never be called upon. I also don't think it's appropriate to call on guests, even if they've indicated they'd like to participate. Dues-paying members only. New members should be given priority in table topics. They're the most nervous about table topics, and they need the experience, so call on them first. Let them get that behind them at each meeting. In a contest, a table topics contest, the topic is announced twice, and it is never repeated. you hear me? Never repeated. That forces every eligible participant, well, in the contest, all the contestants, it forces them to pay attention when it's announced and not to ask, will you repeat that? In our club, I think we should do the same thing. I think the topics master should announce the topic twice, carefully, slowly, and refuse to give it a third time. And then say, John Smith, your topic. It's never appropriate to say, John Smith, would you like to take that topic? It's not an option, it is an assignment. Topics should be general in nature and they should be short, dealing with ideas that each of us should be able to address. Ideally, they should involve the theme of the meeting, but sometimes that can be very difficult, and the topics master has, in my opinion, license to change the theme that he's going to give his topics on if he needs to. I've done that many times. Nobody's ever challenged me on it. Finally, the record speaks for itself. We have the best club in this area, and this presentation was intended to add a little more information so that we can improve that which is already excellent. Mr. President.